Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sawdust and Circuits. Today's video is about luck, loud engines, and a pawn shop find that may or may not have been a steal. Let's dive into what I discovered. So there I was, just out running errands, and I decided to pop into a local pawn shop. And there it was, an HPI 5B SS. This is the 1/5 scale gas-powered buggy that usually retails for around $1,000 USD, depending on condition and upgrades. I paid $114. So was this a score, or did I just get pawned? First impressions, decent shape. The only thing I checked before handing over the cash was that the engine turned over, and then I saw the magical phrase, "Made in Japan." Good enough for me. The body is multi-sectioned and clipped in 3 places. And check this out, aftermarket front disc brakes. That's fancy. And leaking, so we'll wait for that later. Since this is a gas buggy, I still need a battery to power the servos and receiver. Let's check that out. Kinda makes me wonder, why didn't they throw a little stator or alternator on these things, and then it could have been self-charging and self-running. Anyway, the LiPo pack looks like a balloon. That thing is getting disposed of. The primer bulb on this is completely shot. And this took me back to when I was a kid. I used to ride around the neighborhood during the bulk trash pickup. I would collect broken mowers and weed whackers, and you wouldn't believe how many of those were tossed just because of a bad primer bulb or fuel line. Sometimes I would pull the engines out and build weird stuff like motorbikes. Stories for another time. Back to the business on this buggy. It needed a new fuel primer bulb, a new throttle servo. Why do I keep saying that? A new throttle servo, a receiver battery pack. The parts totaled around $70. Keep that in mind if you're planning to score one of these on the cheap. After the parts were in, it was a lot of pull starting this thing to get that carburetor all tuned in. I landed at 1.5 turns out on the low screw and 1 3/4 turns out on the high screw, and finally it ran. I went ahead and 3D printed this GoPro mount for the roll cage on this. It just zip ties in place. Let me know if you guys are interested and I can post the files on Thingiverse for you. So here's what I learned. These things are heavy, around 50 pounds. They're fast, and probably every couple of runs that you use these is gonna run you $25 in repairs. But the fun, oh, it's real. Also, your neighbors might start wondering if somebody's landscaping with a chainsaw at 30 miles per hour. Now let's get this thing out and test it. Thanks for watching, and if you have an RC story on some deal that you found, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.